Hi, I thought I would do a quick video on how I rewrap my worn mallets. I don't have money to buy new ones, so I try to stretch my mallets as far as I can. There's nothing wrong with the actual shaft of the mallet or even the gripper. We just need some new yarn so that they're not quite so loud anymore. So to take the old yarn off, you'll need a pair of scissors. Pointier ones are best to kind of get under these threads here. Just cut away and you can start to peel back. You can kind of go under some more layers. And start to peel it back and you can see the rubber mallet inside. It might be rubber, it might be plastic, it might be wooden, but most of mine are rubber. Now these mallets have more of an oval shaped head. Some of the mallets have more of a sphere, like a ball. I found these easier to wrap. The ones with the ball, it's harder to get started as the thread wants to kind of slip. All right, so some of the mallets are kind of glued under here, under the head, and some are just loose. Just kind of snip away as much as you can and then it'll be covered up. All right, so you need yarn. It's suggested to use like a medium weight, size 3, but I've kind of used what I've got. So I think some was a 3, some was a 4. The last mallets that I rewrapped lasted about 4 years, so I think it was a good investment. So I'm just going to kind of unwrap a lot so I don't have to deal with it once I get started. All right, and here's my end. We are going to first tie a knot up next to the head of the mallet. And I'm going to trim a little extra off. All right, now this is a little trickier to get started. We are going to wrap and be off center just a little bit, and it's going to start to form a crown on the top. That's why you want to be off center. So I'm going around off center. Okay, now I'm going to come up around and I'm going to cross over. It's going to be off center again. I'm going to come up around, off center. And just keep going and try to have some even spacing if you can. It's never going to look like a factory wrapped one because they use machines for those. But for elementary Orff ensemble, it's going to be good enough. Now eventually, as you'll see, you're crossing over, you're going to get these diagonal crisscross patterns. And try to stay a little off center. And as we start like our second layer, your yarn should naturally fall into a place where some of the rubber mallet is still showing. Now you could count the wraps to make sure your mallets are uniform, but I don't because I'm usually doing this while I'm watching TV or yelling at my children or whatever. So I kind of just eyeball it and I just make sure 2 pair match. So always keep the first one done and then keep it with its mate and just kind of wrap until they match each other. And then I kind of make them all uniform. I have finished wrapping about 14 pair. And I try to just keep all of those uniform together. You definitely want all the rubber covered, so keep wrapping until you know you've got a good layer around all of that. And if you can see the top, we've got a nice little crown forming, a little circle, because everything's off center just a little bit. And that's going to be easier when we finish the mallet at the end. Whoops, I got a little knot in my yarn. There we go. I'm glad that that pulled out and I didn't have to pause the video. You just want to keep it tight, and so obviously I didn't unwrap enough, so I'm going to hold it tightly here and just unwrap. And I picked red because these were red, and that was what the rubber head was, to keep the same color. You can do whatever color you want. I've done a pair of rainbow mallets. They were with yarn that was dyed rainbow colors, so as I was wrapping, it would kind of change colors. I use those as a reward. If I see a kid doing really well, I'll pull out the rainbow mallets and they'll feel like a rock star. All right, I'm gonna get close to being ready to finish this one off. All right, we'll say that's pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna give myself like maybe 18 inches or so, and I'm going to loop the thread around the mallet and then pull under the hole. Whoops, let's try that again. Loop it around and pull under the hole. That way I don't have to hold tightly to this mallet anymore. All right, it's gonna pull up, and that's gonna be enough to hold that, and you can kind of free your hands for a second. Okay, so we're gonna thread a needle, a darning needle or something. You need something with a big eye. These are plastic needles I had in the art room, so that's why I'm using plastic. I have broke a couple after doing 16 pair. So you might want to invest into a metal one, but this is just what I had on hand, so this is what I was using. You want to go under the collar you just made, so you might want to loosen that up just a little bit to get your needle to go under. Under. I'm going to tighten it once I get the needle under there. And you're going to go under these layers that you wrapped and kind of go to your left, a little diagonal. Come out a little to the left. Now I'm going to pull through, but I'm not going to pull it super tight yet because I want to put my next stitch underneath where I came out. It's going to come under the same distance that you went and then go to the left again. And then I'm going to pull tight. And it will be easier to do the next ones whenever you've already got one stitch that's kind of pulling that up away from the shaft a little bit. And then do the same thing all the way around the base of the mallet. Going under and then to the left a little. Up and to the left. Under and up to the left. And you can see how it's kind of pulling everything real tight away from the shaft of the mallet. And this is going to keep the mallet from unraveling. All right, you can see that we're approaching the first stitch I made here. So I'm going to come down, it's going to finish that last stitch, and when I come up, this is now going to start to go up to the top of the mount. We're going to kind of just hide this thread along with the other, and we're going to go to the top, to the crown. I'm going to go in through the center and then straight down at an angle to come out. And we're going to do that again, but a little to the left, going around clockwise around the top of the crown. So your stitches will be spaced apart down at the bottom, but they'll be closer together near the crown because the circumference, you know, like sun rays are close together and then far apart as they go away from the center. So the crown, all the stitches are kind of neatly together. But the stitches are just kind of camouflaged and blending in with the other stitches, wraps of the yarn. Make sure that as you're going, you're pulling and giving yourself more slack. You don't want your tail to get stuck inside the yarn. That might seem like a basic reminder, but some of you may have never sewn before, so I don't want you to be intimidated if you don't have any experience with a needle. This is very simple, just in and out, and you can do it. Be brave. And see, I'm getting to the tail. I should have cut a little bit extra. I'm getting short. I'm just gonna have to thread it again. But if you've never threaded a needle, this is a good size to start with. It's very forgiving because it's so big. There you go. All right. That seems like our final stitch. We've got our nice round crown at the top. So I usually come back down to kind of put my tail in the bottom again. So I just lay my thread along where it was wrapping already, enter the bottom, go to the left, come out, enter just a little bit past where I exited and go back again. Enter again, just maybe a thread or two back and come through again, and then we're going to cut it off very close to the mallet. So it's kind of just back stitched a couple times. And we're going to cut it off. And there is your brand new mallet. Look how ugly that one is. And now look how pretty that one is. So I'll wrap the other one and we'll make them match about the same size, and they'll be ready for hopefully several more years of beautiful music.